Good morning, students. Our today's topic in the subject of Business Studies O-Level in the topic of communication is barriers to communication. So concentrate yourself. Here we are going to read different kinds of the concepts, ideas relating to barriers to the communication. So first we are going to read the definition of the barrier to communication. A barrier to communication is any factor that interferes with or prevents the clear transmission of a message from the sender to the receiver, including feedback. So this is any factor that interferes with or prevents the clear transmission of the message. So here are main barriers to the communication are: Number one, lack of the expertise and skills on the part of the sender. So if the sender is not qualified according to the situation, then the message will not be sent clearly, will not be understood clearly. So the inability of the sender to send a message in clear and precise language can lead to misunderstanding and confusion. The next barrier is lack of the expertise and skills on the part of the receiver. The inability of the receiver to interpret and understand the message correctly can cause problems. The next barrier of the communication is the use of the technical language and special terms, that is called jargon. Special term stands for jargon. So if there are technical language and special terms used in the message, it is a possibility that maybe technical language and special terms are not is accurately used by the sender, or not accurately maybe understand by the receiver. So can mean that people without specific experience would be unable to understand the message. The next barrier is the line of the communication between the sender and the receiver may involve other people. So when other people's involved, so if their interest is involved in the transmission of the message, so they can distort or make any kind of the change in the message. The message can become distorted as it moves and passes through many people before getting to the receiver. The next barrier of the communication is physical conditions. Long distances and noise can make communication more difficult. The next barrier of the communication is a difference in perception. A sender or receiver of a message will have his or her own interpretation of the business environment. Personal likes, dislikes, prejudice, suspicions, and expressions will influence the way a message is sent to the receiver. So perception matters. The next barrier to the communication is communication system breakdown. Despite advances in the technology, machines do break down. If the medium of the communication breaks down, the communication process slows down or fails. The next barrier of the communication is failure of the organization structure. The communication system in a business depends on the organizational structure of the business, that is the levels of the hierarchy, span of the control, chain of the command, etc. So everything should be very accurate and according to the situation. So if the system or infrastructure is not well maintained, then the good communication will not be there. So any problems in the organizational structure will be reflected in the communication system. So this was the lecture, students. I hope so this will be much more easier for you to understand. So read this lecture again, understand it, learn it, and make your notes. Thank you so much.